Hey guys, Miss Chenoweth here. This is our color pencil demo, and we're exploring the different properties of color, hue, value, intensity, and we're trying to master the mixing of color. All right, so to get set up for this, you're going to work on this page. I'm doing multiple demos, so I'm just going to use the same one. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need a cup and just a regular pencil, and we're going to be working with primary colors, mixing them with each other to get secondary colors, and then mixing all three together to see what we get. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is just have the three circles overlap. Don't mind the ratio. And for this, you're going to need your three primary colors. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start by using yellow. We'll make that at the top because it is the lightest color. And for this, I'm just going to use pretty much the side of the pencil. If I'm using color pencil, I might want to go with a smaller circle even. But I'm starting with lightest colors. Most of the time, doesn't matter whether you're using paint or dry media like color pencil or pastel. It's usually best to start with your light colors and then mix darker colors in. All right, so you're starting to see probably a little bit here that if you're using, drawing outlines with a regular pencil, you probably want to take your eraser and just go lightly over top to get rid of it because you can see it kind of like picks it up and smudges it around. Both color pencil and graphite pencil does have wax in it. Okay, so that's why they're kind of mixing together there like that. All right, and then with your pencil, if you're doing large areas of color and you're using color pencil like I'm doing here, generally speaking, it's good to use the side of your pencil. What I want to try to do is get a really nice bright hue. All right, so I'm going to just use some extra added pressure here and just trying to control it. Having the color go all in the same direction makes color pencil appear neater. So if you're concerned about neatness and having a smooth texture, you'll want your color to kind of go in the same direction. All right, so there we go. That looks pretty even. If I wanted even more intense, I could continue going over top of it, but that would take a while. All right, so next color I'm going to use is red, and I'm going to come back here and lighten up this pencil line so that when I do start to see the mixtures of the colors, I'm not going to see that nasty, gray mixing in. All right, so again, using the side of the pencil here to mix my colors, just filling in the space. You'll see what will happen too if you don't, use your color going in all the same direction. One of the things I'm thinking about here is even pressure on the pencil. So that's another way to try to get, a nice even, similar value, similar consistency of your color. All right, so it's all about the pressure, just like a regular pencil. You can erase a little bit of color pencil, just good to know, good to know. All right, and right now you can see I'm getting a very light value of the color. It looks kind of pink. So I definitely want to take care of that and make sure I go a darker intensity here. All right, so you'll be able to see how dark you can actually get. All right, and then I'm going to go over top of the yellow and just see what that color mixing looks like. And looks like I picked up a little bit of eraser bumps there. So it's doing something a little strange there. If you wanted to try a different technique with color pencils, there's lots of different ways that you can get texture and so forth with color pencil. You can hatch your color in, so if you like using the tip, you can kind of play around with both of those techniques too if you wanted to. It's usually a good idea, like I said, to have your color pencil going the same direction when you're adding and mixing colors. I do really like the look of a little texture with color pencils, so I do kind of like not just using the side like this, but maybe even combining it with a little hatch mark making. Alrighty, so once that side is done, I want to get this all colored in as well. I'm going to use the same sort of technique just to keep things consistent, using the side of the pencil. If you're using color pencil, you definitely want to keep that sharpener handy. Alright, so I'm trying to keep it nice and even, get a nice solid spread of this red. All right, and my hand's starting to hurt. I hear students say that all the time. Oh, my hand hurts. And yeah, that can happen if you're doing like large areas of color pencil. All right, and it's also nice to just kind of like do these kind of like exercises too, because it gives you a little control, just a means to practice the control of your materials. All right, so you could see I could even get much darker here. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to go that dark. All right, so next color is my blue primary color. And what I like to do when I'm doing a shape is kind of go along the outside edge just to help practice some control. All right, and then I'll sort of color in and go towards the center. All right, so just go on the outside edge. All right, and I'm going to use the side of my pencil to kind of fill this in sort of quickly. And again, I'm getting a really light value of blue because I'm not pressing down too hard at the moment. All right, so I'm just going to see how that mixes with the yellow. And you can see again, I'm kind of getting sort of like a dark-ish green. All right, just layering those colors over top of each other. And I've got a light blue there. Now I'm going to just layer on top of the red. And then remember, the center is what happens when you mix all three of those primaries together. What color are you going to get? And then just try to make it a nice even mixture. The point of this is not necessarily just to be super neat, but it's just a way to figure out what happens when you mix colors together. Alrighty, and then I'm going to switch over and do a little more tip of my pencil to get it darker. And I might want to, do a little more mark making here. That I will leave up to you, but you do want to try to get your color darker for this. Okay, still taking my stroke direction in the same way, just so it doesn't look all sloppy. All right, want to get a little darker here because it's kind of like a light green right now. You might even want to try like some cross hatching. You can even go the opposite direction, but again, it's all about consistency and sort of keeping it looking similar. I can even take that cross hatch into the blue area. Maybe I want to bring it around here to hatch out a different way. And I really didn't mix too much with this red, so just mixing those two colors together. And that actually makes a really pretty purple, which is a little more interesting than just taking the purple or the violet color pencil. Looks a little more interesting this way. All right, so again, I would continue this to really make it nice and dark, like this color, for example. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. But on your example, I definitely would try it and just see what that looks like. All right, so the cool thing that I'm discovering here is that I've got my primary colors which is yellow, blue, and red, even though my red looks kind of pink. Mixing those together, you get your secondary colors. Okay, like purple, green, whoops, and orange. Alrighty, there we go. And that's my secondary color. In the center, what happens is they tend to neutralize each other, and you wind up getting sort of like a brown, or if I would have had a little more blue, maybe started out with blue, it might look a little more gray. But anyway, you can kind of see those nice color mixing effects. All right, the next thing we're going to do is you're going to play with a little bit of color value. And for this, I'm just going to do like a 4-inch rectangle. You might even want to go smaller, because like I said, my hand was getting pretty tired doing these larger shapes here. And then same thing over here. And then for this one, we're going to just do some color mixing. All right, so for color value, I'm just going to use blue for this demo. And I'm going to start with white. So I wanted to go light to dark. So this is for color value. And we're going to go light to dark. Okay, and we're going to try to make something called gradation, where it's a gradual change from light to dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put down white. You can also just leave the paper white, because that also can act as your white, because as you can see, as I'm putting this down, you really can't see it unless I kind of like turn it a little bit, and maybe you'll catch a little bit of glare. And then over here, I'm just going to do really heavy, dark blue. And again, practice your techniques and how can you make the texture or the mark making look the way that you want it to. You definitely don't want to just scribble things on when you're using your color pencils. All right, so then here I'm just gonna, okay, so I did put a little bit of white here, so I'm just gonna gradually sort of go over top. I'm also looking to have a little control, so you don't want to turn in or create, you know, a really sloppy sketchbook page. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go side. This will make it work a little quicker if you use the side of your pencil. And I'm just practicing this skill of gradation, because gradation is a great skill to have. Gradation happens when light wraps around a roundish object. Anything from like your face, like the cheek on your face or on your nose, to like a cup or a spherical object, to a tree. So lots of things that are rounded. You'll see this natural gradation of color, or from lightness to darkness. All right. So anyway, all right. So in order to make this color really dark, I'm also going to go and add like another color. So now I've got a nice graded value here. So I'm seeing light blues to dark blues. And you can also play around with adding, I'm going to take purple. You could also play with black, but purple is a really dark color. So I'm just going to make it look darker by adding a little bit of purple in there, just to make that nice dark to light blue. All right, so basically that is what color value is. It's just going from light to dark. All right, the next experiment is complementary colors. So complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. And what happens is you'll see when you mix the two together, the intensity of the color gets lower, all right? So it's more dull intensity. Okay, I wonder if I spelled that right. All right, so for this, I'm going to use two complementary colors. So yellow and purple are actually opposite each other on the color wheel. You could use blue and orange. You could use red and green. So they're all opposite each other on the color wheel. So for this one, I'm just going to start out with yellow on this side. And I'm going to do half of the rectangle in yellow. And then I'm going to do half of the rectangle in purple. And I'm going to make it more intense yellow probably here. All right. right, and then I'm going to take my violet color right here. And these are the two strongest complements because purple is the darkest color and yellow is the lightest color. Alrighty, let's do a mixture here. Again, going all the same direction to make it look nice and neat. So as you can see, you probably could make a smaller rectangle than this. It's mainly I want you to see kind of like what happens to the two colors when they mix and blend together. You can also play around with value when you're doing this. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little light purple over here, just to play around with that a little bit, trying to make this nice gradation of color change. And then I'm going to come back with a little bit more of the yellow, okay, cross hatching some of this in. Okay, just trying to make a really nice gradual change. Nice and dark there. All right, then I'm going to come back here and gradually blend out some of the yellow over top. And it's kind of interesting to see the yellow go over top of the purple. Kind of burnishes it in a kind of funky way. Here you can see my pencil is kind of picking up some of the purple and just sort of burnishing it and rubbing it. So anyway, it's fun to just sort of play around and see what the colors will do when you mix them and not just using them in an ordinary kind of plain way. All right, have fun with color pencil.